Hey there, everybody, this here is Uncle Roger. Just reminding you to like, share, and subscribe to the GamerGauntlet channel, even though it's run by Disney.
We have with us two of Dragon Ball's voice actors. I guess first I'll do, you know her as Chi-Chi. You might also know her as Botan. This is Cynthia Kranz. Give her a round of applause, please. We also have, joining us, the OG Bulma, Tiffany Bulmer. All right, just give me a moment. And I will start a little, it's nothing, it's just a little slideshow.
Hi Houston, okay. We're so excited to be here. DBG fans, let's hear you.
Okay, so let's start the Q&A. I want to get into your time on Dragon Ball, obviously, but I'd like to start closer to the beginning, if I can. Tiffany, your career starts in Dragon Ball in '99, but before that, you were born in Nassau County, in Long Island, and Cynthia, you were born in Grapevine, Texas.
Wikipedia live.
Oh, no.
I graduated from Grapevine High School.
Okay, but that's basically just up the road in the DFW area. Is there anything from either your early life or school or growing up that got you started down the path of acting and voice acting? Was performing something you were always passionate about, or is it something you discovered along the way?
For me, I was so shy that reading aloud in class made me stumble and stutter over my words to the point that they didn't think I could read because I was so shy. But I was always fascinated with microphones. And I started doing theater in elementary school all the way through high school, college. And
hold on right quick.
after college, I started working professionally, theater, commercials, things. And I just stumbled on to Dragon Ball Z in '99.
What are we talking about?
I was just as a child at a permanent single home school. That's pretty much my background of how I became a voice actor. They told me I couldn't, and I said, I wish that I could. But I actually, I'm popping my keys like I've never been on a microphone. I started, I was born in New York, but quickly moved to Southern California, and I was a runway model at the age of 5. So I was walking with like Cindy Crawford and all that. I didn't know who they were. I was doing it for Barbie money. I was told if I wore this really cool dress and it was a bridesmaid flower girl.
Yeah, as I said.
Yeah, a bunch of other super pops. And in these big bridal shows, I would stand there and they'd take my picture. You can't do that anymore with kids, but back in the day, wore this pretty bridal dress, take a picture, and I would get Barbie money, right? So it was, yay, Barbie money. Did not know that it was a big deal that I was on television. Didn't know any of that. Interestingly enough, though, I wanted to be a singer. I just told this story a minute ago, so it never gets old. But I had an affliction, right? So I wanted to be Olivia Newton-John, and this is when Grease came out. Anyway, but I had a problem, right? I had enlarged adenoids. Does anybody know what an adenoid is? It's like tonsils, but they're in your nasal cavity. Okay, which meant that I sounded like this my entire life. Could not breathe through my nose. I didn't even know that that was a thing. You could breathe through your nose. So it wasn't until I was about 10 years old, we're sitting at the dinner table, and my brother says, "You're so gross, man. Why are you always like chewing your mouth open?" I'm like, right, like, how was I supposed to breathe? And he's like, "Through your nose." And I'm like, oh, right, like people just go around breathing through their nose. And my parents were like, I mean, maybe we need to like take her to a specialist or something. And sure enough, I had like the largest adenoids anybody had ever seen in their entire life. And they got rid of them, they took them out, and then all of a sudden, I had this crazy, incredible voice. Started getting solos in choir, and got to lead the 5th grade play, and doing musical theater, and show choirs, and all-state choir, and all-state choir, and all that stuff. So I knew that my voice was going to be a thing when I was little, and then I took dance classes and stuff like that, and just, I wasn't really good at anything else. I was really good at making friends, which got me the permanent seat in the hall in high school and also got me shushed a lot. But that's kind of how I couldn't do anything else. My mom was like, you're not going to study movie starism in college. You can do journalism and be Jane Pauley, but you're not going to be a movie star. So I went and got an acting scholarship and I did it anyway. I do see.
I empathize with your parents a little bit. As someone who did not take their son to the doctor for his broken leg for a whole day because he had no swelling, and I thought he was faking it. So it can happen.
Believe the victims.
This question's a little more for Tiffany. I saw that you attended college at both Stephen F. Austin and University of North Texas, again, basically just up the road. What brought you from New York, and then obviously you mentioned you were in California, but to Texas?
So, fun story, my father is where I got my acting chops from. My dad was a DEA narcotics agent. He arrested Johnny Cash coming over the border with drugs in his guitar case in the 60s in El Paso, Texas, working for the sheriff's department, which led him to his career as a DEA agent, which is why I was born in New York, because he was up in New York working on the mafia. And if you aren't a good actor with the mafia, they will kill you. So he also got transferred down to the Gulf of Corona and was working on the Mexican mafia. They will also kill you if they don't believe you. And then he retired and transferred to Dallas, and that's how I ended up in North Texas. And I went to Stephen F. Austin because they didn't want to pay for me to go 45 minutes away to college, so they sent me 3 hours away to the Piney Woods and the Arklatex. You'll never guess who's allergic to pine trees. This girl! So that lasted about 2 years, and then I had to get back up north where I wasn't in the Piney Woods Arklatex of the region. So.
All right, let's make it equal. I've got a question here for Cynthia. I've seen in interviews you've done in the past that right before auditioning for Dragon Ball, you were working on something called the Bobby Jack Pack comedy show,
Yes.
which was a public access show that aired on Dallas Public Access Television. This is a bit of a two-parter. I actually watched an episode that's available on YouTube. It feels fairly ahead of its time in terms of like the abstract humor and things like that, but it's also definitely feels like it's pulling inspiration from things like the Kentucky Fried Movie and Amazon Women on the Moon. And I just want to know, were you aware of those influences, or was it something that just kind of happened as a result of doing sketch comedy? And what even got you working on that show in the first place?
Okay, well, a friend of mine was working on that show, and she said they don't have enough women, and they've got some sketches with women. It's this weird show, just come with me. And the basis of the show was back then, cable access was really bad TV at like 3 in the morning. So each episode would have 2 or 3 people on the couch with the remote, and then we would act out what they would see. So they wanted it to be bad on purpose, hence the abstract humor. Like for one, I was that jewelry lady that sold things on the QVC channel, and it's like a toolbox, and it's me talking like Joy Mangano, and then when they do close up, it's a big hairy man hands. You know, and they would want to use your worst take, so they wanted it to be bad on purpose, and it was so much fun. And that's actually how I got into Dragon Ball Z. One of my friends that worked on the show heard about the open call auditions and told me I needed to go. So if I hadn't gone there, I don't think I ever would have gotten into this. So you just never know.
Okay, so I think a lot of people are aware that, you know, most people in those early Funimation roles saw just like a classified ad and responded to it on a whim. And I know this doesn't strictly hold true for really either of you, but I would be curious, I would like to know if you could tell your stories of how you came to audition and ultimately land the gig. And Tiffany, please include the story of how Chris Sabat made you commit breaking and entering.
Okay, so on that note, my friend that told me to go he worked for the newspaper that placed that ad. That's how he found out about it and told me.
So I was in college and I was on scholarship because my mom wasn't going to let me be an actor. So I did this really cool thing so I could keep my scholarship. And that is, I took my math class the very last semester because if I took it before and then I failed, then I would lose my scholarship. So last semester, it's like, well, I don't need to pay for any more classes. I'm just going to take it now. Oh, that is so sad. Opa! It's not really a party until somebody breaks something.
Careful, careful.
Let's go. Okay. So college, math class. So 2 years before I was graduating, I met this guy named Chris Sabat at a bar. And me and my friend Jennifer were hanging out with him and his roommate. And then we decided to go play pool at their place, at their apartment complex after the bar closed. And when we went there, Chris Sabat has the most amazing record collection you've ever seen. Like, he's like a savant when it comes to music. He was an opera major. And he had the entire Olivia Newton-John record collection, which I made reference to Olivia Newton-John earlier. Like, she was just my idol, was gonna be her. And so we sang the entire collection of Olivia Newton-John. We were so into it. And you're not really a fan of Olivia Newton-John unless you also have the country album. And he had the country album. We both did. So, Xanadu is my very, very favorite movie of all times. If you haven't seen it, it's a cool fantasy out there about the muses from Mount Olympus and this guy that's having artist block. And it's got Jim Kelly and there's dance and music numbers. It's amazing. So we sang some of the duets from How Do You Feel So Alive When There's No Way Ever Can You. Okay, anyway. That's a little bit of my singing. So he knew that I could sing. You know, I was a performance major. I don't see Chris Sabat for 2 more years. Guess when I run into him again? The day that I found out that I failed my math class. I'd given up the lease on my house. I was going to move to LA, be like a real movie star. And instead I was stuck in school for another semester. So I run into Chris Sabat at the same bar that I met him at 2 years later. And he goes, hey, this little Chris Sabat voice, you know. He's like, well, I'm directing this. I'm taking over in Fort Worth. I mean, you should come audition. We've already had the open cattle call, but that callback's next week. You should really come audition. I was like, okay, that sounds great. Sure, Chris Sabat. And then he opens his Pearl Snap shirt pocket and he pulls out a cassette tape. You guys know what a cassette tape is? Anybody out there? Cassette? Okay, remember those? And it had the word Xanadu written on the side of it. Like, he had a dubbed version of Xanadu in his pocket. Like, why are you carrying? He's like, I don't know why I have this cassette tape, but it must be for you. And I'm like, yeah, okay, fate. So Monday comes around and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go do this audition. This is great. Wait a minute, I'm a professional actor now, so should I be like doing some research? Like, I'm not gonna read the manga right now, you know. But so I call him and I'm like, hey, is there any reference that I can like look up and like figure out what I'm actually auditioning for? And he goes, yeah, well, actually, I can't do the Sabbath voice. It's way too low. You go over to my house. The problem is I'm at the studio in Fort Worth and it's 45 minutes away, and so you're gonna have to break into my house. I was like, sure, Chris Sabat, I will totally break into your house. And so he gave me specific direction. You go to the front door, to the left is the office, open the window should be open, you crawl through, there's a desk, top left drawer, and open it up, VHS tape. Another relic from the past, ladies and gentlemen, a VHS tape. So I open the drawer, I grab the VHS tape, I go home, I watch it like twice, and there's like 7 little snippets of like 1,000 different voices, and I'm like, well, we could do all those. So I drive out there, and I read for Barry Watson. I didn't even read for Sabbath. And he came out, and he was like, my goodness, you are so talented. Thank you so much for your audition. I could see you in any of those roles. You just nailed everything. And I was like, oh, this is my consolation prize. Like, don't give up on your dreams, kid. But you did real good. Good college try. And I left, and then 2 weeks later, Chris Sabat called, and he was like, it's Tiffany Bowman. And I'm like, what's a Bulma? He's like, that's your new character on Dragon Ball Z. And I was like, yay! I didn't know what that meant. he didn't even tell Sean. Like, he didn't go, hey, you just got the lead female role in Dragon Ball. He just was like, you're Bulma on Dragon Ball. And I'm like, I don't know what the heck that means, but okay, let's do this. And so the very first episode I went in was during the Nanite Saga, and they're on an exploding planet. She's being chased by dinosaurs. And I was a huge Friends fan, and then I'll shut up. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to bogart. I was a huge Friends fan at the time. And Joey Tribbiani had just gotten his breakthrough role on Days of Our Lives as Dr. Rick Ramoray. And he gets to set, and on his very first day, his new breakout role is going to be a star. His character falls down an elevator shaft, and he is in a coma for the rest of the season. I thought that was how anime voice acting was going to go for me. I'm on an exploding planet. I really thought I died. They kept calling me back, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure I'm dead. And they're like, no, come on back. And I'm like, no, really, like, didn't I die? And they're like, no, we need you to be a frog today. And then, a couple weeks later, they call me back. I'm like, I thought I got turned into a frog. And they're like, no. And then we went back and did Dragon Ball, and I was like, oh, I'm a really big deal. So anyway, that's my origin story.
For the record, breaking into Chris Sabat's house, not a surefire path to becoming a voice actor.
Do not, yes, don't do that. I had permission.
Did your approach to the characters that you played or your performances shift in any way as you did more and more with them and start to understand the character and their roles in the series more?
Absolutely. It takes a few sessions to if we didn't have references, they didn't used to show us the scenes in Japanese first. So we would just hear 3 beeps, and on the 4th imaginary beep start trying to say the line and match the blab. But Chris, so when I auditioned for Chi-Chi, her line was, oh well, boys will be boys. That they were trying to voice match the Canadians from Ocean Depth. So once we start recording, he's like, no, she's trashy. Like, she is rough, trashy, rough. So together we kind of found that awful place in my voice that everyone gets to hear when she's nagging, yelling, or crying. But now I feel like I think she's rubbed off on me a little bit.
I was with Barry Watson to create the Bulma voice, and he had some very distinct ideas in his brain, which were my favorite in the whole wide world. He was like, think, Lucille Ball. And I was like, you mean another one of my idols? Are you kidding me? That's amazing. Or like Carol Burnett. Oh, whatever. And so they wanted like the lilts and the waterfalls, right? Like the, really using that guttural part of your voice to do the because it was, we both felt that it like really juxtaposed her like genius, but then there's like this little girl in there and she did so cute. So that was how we did it. And then, I wish we would start on Dragon Ball first, because I started like that voice for Bulma and Z, and then they were like, okay, we're gonna go back, you're gonna be 16 now. Can you like pitch that up a little bit and be even more cutesy? And I was like, let me quit smoking for about 5 years, we'll try that again.
So, doing a Dragon Ball character at times seems like it'd be a strain on your voice, and even for characters who don't fight, and especially Chi-Chi and Bulma, they're often screaming at Goku or Vegeta or each other, or as they're running away. Japanese voice actors have talked about vomiting from exertion. Sean Schemmel and Chris Sabat have both talked about how they've nearly passed out or blown out their vocal cords from having to scream for minutes at a time. Did any of that ever happen to you, or do you have like a warm-up technique or something that you do to prevent that? Can you speak to that at all?
I will say that we all learned together, because when we first started, we were reel to reel. Okay, so that means there's like, now everything's digital, right? So if we want to go back to like a certain spot in the script, you just look at the time code, punch it in, take you right back there, right? Well, no. When you started, you would have to rewind the tape, and the engineer would have to find the exact spot where we would start. So a lot of the times we were recording completely in order of the script. So it's page 2, you're screaming. You're gonna scream on page 2. And we learned, the longer we went on, I was like, you know what, now that we're digital, can you like save the screens to the end of the session so that I can actually make it through and not like, I mean, I've definitely lost notes in my upper register from all the screaming and stuff like that. But yeah, just definitely warming up, really. I was always very big about warm-ups and keeping my throat lubricated and having hot tea available and like doing all the right things except for smoking cigarettes. Don't ever do that, kids. Even vaping is bad. But yeah, I mean, that was my experience with the screens is same to the end. Oh, and I will say too, fun little fact between her and I. Usually in the fight scenes, where we go in there individually and we get directed on how to do the fight scenes. But they're the one time, and I don't think anybody else in the history of Dragon Ball has ever done this, but because there's the one scene where Chi-Chi and I are in a screaming match, and they actually put us in the booth together. And it is like the one and only time 2 characters were in the booth together having a fight scene. Because they were just like, yeah, we're just gonna put y'all in a booth and y'all can just yell at each other. Like, okay, well, let's do this. So, yeah.
Yes, same exact on all the answers she has.
So, as women, and of course voice actresses for female characters on Dragon Ball, characters who often find themselves in situations where they were maybe being ogled. I mean, Master Roshi is infamous for this. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on some of Dragon Ball's more, I guess, awkward moments with its depictions of women and approaches to gender roles, if you want to speak to that at all, and whether your attitudes towards any of it and the fan service in anime in general has shifted or changed over time.
I don't really know because I generally don't play the sexy characters. I'm a character actor. No one's ogling over Chi-Chi.
Check fan art online.
Well, no, the fan art maybe, but as far as the way that she's the strong, tough woman. Well, that's not true. I also voiced Bulma's mom, Mrs. Greaves. Oh my, he's so handsome. So, she's like a little ditzy little bimbo, and I actually had fun with that. I think there's a time and a place for all kinds of women characters.
Okay, here's my soapbox. Very good. I love it. Okay, so in general, right, like Bulma started the whole series, right? She went and looked for Dragon Balls. Okay, can we all agree to that? Yeah. Okay, then why on the front of every Shenron box is everybody keeping a big space for Stabbin and a big old space for Shimmel, and then they let me sign on the side? What is that about? Come on. My 10-year-old's really funny. She'll be like, Mom, if it weren't for Bulma, it would just be called Goku's Adventures in Life, because they wouldn't have any Dragon Balls. And I was like, drop my man, yes. But also, on a serious note, I mean, it's a coming-of-age show, right? Bulma is learning, like all young girls do, that men are gross and kind of pervy, and that we have special secret power. But you want to keep your underwear. Just saying. But it's learning how to use that power and how to make it a healthy situation, and it is a heavy balance. But I think learning all that together, because we all go through those uncomfortable moments where we're getting oogled at by a crazy old man in the corner that thinks there's a nosebleed, or a pig that is terrorizing a town that we're going to give him explosive diarrhea and tell him who's boss. So I think Bulma gets to use her brains and her intelligence to kind of counterbalance the over-sexuality that is kind of showcased at the beginning where she's kind of coming of age, right?
I think that's awesome. So you both mentioned in the past that you're pretty aware that there's a contingent of people who contend that your characters are arguably irrelevant or annoying. Your characters probably routinely wind up on like least favorite characters or least favorite moments from the show. How is it that you've come to really embrace and be proud of this character that is probably often found quite high on those lists of least favorite things?
Well, I didn't write her. So, if she was written annoying and she annoys people, then I think I'm doing my job. I think Chi-Chi brings a lot of humor because she can go through 5 emotions in one paragraph. And I actually like that. I enjoy it. I'm much more comfortable with that than a very serious, dramatic role. But for all the hate, I get a lot of love, and I'm just honored to be part of it, period.
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree. A lot of people thought that Lola was really whiny, and I was like, then get mad at the director. Don't get mad at me. I can do that line 5,000 different ways. I promise you I can. So I know there were like some Reddit things out there that were like, Loma's so whiny. Like, well, I'm not anymore. If you watch Super, she's totally not whiny anymore.
Great. So Bulma is actually based on one of the main characters of the Chinese novel Journey to the West, the monk Tan Sanzong, or Tripitaka, who's in turn based on a real-life monk, Xuanzang, whose actual pilgrimage from China to India changed the face of Chinese Buddhism. And Chi-Chi is alternately a love letter to some of Toriyama's childhood loves, with her early appearances being riffs on giant monster shows like Ultraman. And then later on, as she becomes a mother, she's a bit of a commentary on the overbearing, typical Asian mother. Have either of you become aware of these inspirations over the years, and has that changed your views on the characters?
I do know that history, and I do find it very interesting that they allowed this monk child to become a girl with boobs. So, yes, I'm very aware of that, and I like that the history is really cool. And I think that maybe Goku had, or Akira Toriyama had mommy issues, and that's the way he wanted to write Chi-Chi.
I actually did not know that history. What was the second part you followed up with?
The overbearing mother, or the Ultraman references?
The Ultraman references are funny because last year I played a small role on the American dub of Ultraman, and I had absolutely no idea that they were connected at all. I just never dove deep into the mangas or the stories. I mean, I just show up, say the lines, and leave. So I'm learning all kinds of things today.
I'm sure a lot of people out there would like to get into voice acting. It's one of the most common questions and themes you see when voice actors speak
I told
at
you I'm not
conventions.
answering this question. Never asked me how to become a voice actor.
Rather than ask how to break in, I'd be more interested in hearing your avoid this list. Common pitfalls you see from people who try to break in or maybe start and kind of flame out, things like that, that you think you've avoided over the years and have helped your career.
I didn't know that voice acting was a thing. I've been working professionally for 6 years, and to me it was just another audition in a different genre. I didn't know what anime was. I'd never heard of Dragon Ball Z, and I'd certainly never taken any classes on mouth flap dubbing. So my advice is to have strong acting chops, and most of us started out with theater and all of that, get some on-camera stuff, commercials, whatnot. But now they do have classes specifically for that. Pitfalls, I would say, is trying to do impressions, because I don't get to see this, but when I'm in a panel with directors, that's what they say. We don't want to hear your version of this character, that. We want to hear your authentic voice. And they really want your voice and acting skills and the ability to take direction.
Yeah, and if your voice, you know, obviously I don't sound like a little boy right now, but my voice as a little boy is just because I'm thinking about what that little boy looks like and how fast you know, like it just, if your acting is there, the voice will follow, right? And I've learned that sometimes you do have to do, like if the director gives you a line read, you need to figure out how to do that. But it is organically, from an actor standpoint, it is much easier to be an actor than to do an impression or a line read.
View other voice actors when you hear them on radio or
I'm so much better than them. Oh my god. I'm big at that guy. I should totally be doing that. I'm totally kidding.
So my husband, this is going to sound random, but it does tie into this, had never seen the cartoon from the 40s, Alice in Wonderland. And a few weeks ago, he had it on and we were watching it, and I hadn't seen it since I was a little kid. And I was blown away by how talented they were. Like, blown away. The girl that voiced Alice was like 10, and she sounded like she was 15 or 20, and like, it just gave me so much more respect for, you know, and they were actors too, before voice actors. But yes, it just almost gives me just more respect. And I also am like, why limit yourself to just voice acting? Some of the most interesting moments in film are when someone's not even speaking. It's an expression on their face. Or, you know, you can see the wheels turning. So, I don't know. I do get annoyed when A-list actors do cartoon voices and they gripe about how hard it is because they don't have other people they're working with. I'm like, try to flat match another language and make it sound natural. Then we can talk about art.
Are there any other voice actors you're fans of?
So many. I mean, I don't even know where to start. I mean, I know that sounds lame, but there's so many good actors, yes.
Has your voice acting career assisted your other career pathways in any way, either as a singer or I've seen you're a real estate agent? I mean, you know, are you performing when you're trying to sell a listing? Has voice acting assisted you in your other careers at all?
I don't think so. I mean, my getting paid on apartment locating depends. It's a free service. You call our company, I answer you, tell me what you want, I do the work, I send you the list. All you have to do so that I get paid is list apartment locator, Cynthia. And so many people don't do it. So I started trying to figure out if I thought people might be fans. So far I've only found 2. So like if they sounded like they, I don't know, young age or whatever, I'd be like, so do you like anime? And they'd be like, what? Not really. I'm like, okay, so anyway, you wanted a 1-bedroom? You know, I was hoping the 2 that did like it made sure to put my name down, so I got paid. I work straight commission.
I work a lot of film and television production, and I was the president of Women in Film Dallas for the last 4 years. And so, which is also empowerment, mentoring women in the film industry, and fighting against gender disparity, and all the beautiful things that we have to do because we're girls. But it does, I mean, I think it has helped me because I do a lot of public speaking, and I'm in front of people, so I have to be able to articulate myself, and I have to be able to get a point across. And I think we're always kind of have our improv skills, even just doing panel discussions like, oh, this could be going sideways, how do I turn this around and make it a better situation? So, I mean, I would say that it's just helped me in general, because I used to be diarrhea of the mouth and just things would come out of it. And so, kind of honed my skills a little bit on how to talk better.
Speaking of other career pathways, Tiffany, you've done some work on live action movies, and Cynthia, you're perhaps most well known outside of Dragon Ball as the voice of Botan in Yu Yu Hakusho, but you've also done work for Crayon Shin-chan, Full Metal Alchemist, and Fruits Basket, and I mean, there's like 100 or more others. Are there any that you're particularly proud of that you think other people should check out and get a feel for your other work?
I think I have found that people who have rediscovered or newly Taka show tend to love Botan. And because we did that so long ago, and then after COVID, I think people started streaming it. And I was just blown away by how much people really liked that character. Mincy from Shin-Chan, I just liked because it was an irreverent show and it was weird and random. The one that surprised me the most was Bellamere from One Piece because she's only in it for like a half a minute, you know. She's a flashback. And I didn't understand that she was important to the arc. So I found that interesting. And I'm just grateful for anything. If I'm Old Lady B or Aunt, you know, Nana or whatever, I'm just happy to be working.
Tiffany, any other works of yours that you think people should check out?
I mean, I'm because I've been ADD my whole life, ADHD, like super. I'm also an advocate for neurodivergency, people that, you know, were shushed and squashed and dull in your light. And so so like in my life, I'll do acting for a while, and then I'll do like some film work, and then I'll do makeup for the ballet for the Nutcracker backstage, Texas Ballet Theater at Bass Hall in Fort Worth.
That's a big deal.
It's a very big deal. It's 7 seasons. So, you know, some of my work, like I'm a film producer, and I've produced 2 films that I'm super proud of. Actually, 4 films that I'm super proud of. And when I have a little cameo in, and when we did together, we did some voice stuff on. But I don't find success in topping the last thing that I did. I find success in continuously feeding my soul and going from the thing that feels right at the time to the next thing that feels right at the time, and not trying to chase the dragon, so to speak.
Yeah.
People call me, they're like, hey, you want to do some voice work? I will say, if you do want to catch me on a semi-regular, if I'm not out at a show, my 10-year-old has a radio show on KNON Now, which is an app you can get on your phone. It's a streaming station for public radio in Dallas, Texas, and I co-host with her on Sundays from 2 to 4. So I'm constantly like, you know, we're doing radio spots, and I'm designing all of the shows that she's in right now. She's in 3 shows. Her name's Mariella, she's amazing. She's young Simba the Lion King. She is Shere Khan in The Jungle Book, Lions and Tigers, and she is Milky White in Into the Woods. Lions and Tigers and Cows, oh moo! So I'm also designing masks and wigs and makeup and costumes and all that stuff. I do it professionally and also teach makeup workshops and acting workshops, and I just do a little bit of everything. Yeah.
So check out all her things.
Check out my things.
So we were supposed to be for about 45 minutes. We've got like 3 to 5 minutes left. Time for any audience questions. Yeah.
Hey, I want to see the voice of, like, can y'all do the impression of Bowman Kiki real quick?
Yeah, it's me. I'm as smart as I am beautiful. Whoa, Conchita, you need that.
Anyone else? All right. I'll have another fun one. I think I've seen at least one of you. I think it was maybe you, Tiffany, who said you really like questions about what your character would do in a certain situation. So I think I'll go with like what was we see your character chasing Dragon Balls and inventing things and doing all kinds of stuff with the Dragon Ball characters. But what does Bulma do to unwind? What are her hobbies that she has fun doing?
She's an influencer on social media. She sells her own brand of clothing that she doesn't make, but she designs. And and she is just a fashionista, and she loves to go to the mall. and she likes to sing in malls. She likes to sing Tiffany singing Tiffany in malls. I think we're alone now. It doesn't seem to be one around now. Yeah, so she's an influencer. She's also a gamer. She loves Sims 4. She loves to recreate the Dragon Ball world in The Sims on Batu, and then have everybody fight and like put them in a house without any doors or windows so they can't get away from each other and fight to the death.
It's funny you say she's a gamer. On our show, every March we do a tournament with a bunch of characters, but we never do fighting because you can watch fighting tournaments in Dragon Ball. So we did a who would win a video game tournament, and Bulma was in the finals actually. Yeah. She lost to Bulma. He cheated. Cynthia, what about that? Do you ever think about like what does Chi-Chi do in her time off, if she even takes any?
I was going to say, she never takes time off, but when she does, she really loves to gossip about everybody. In the last Sparking Zero, that's pretty much all she is doing, is talking to the other women going, and that's that delinquent, and he tried to hurt my go-on, and blah, 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 blah. She is a gossip. And other than that, she likes to bitch about things a lot. Complain, tell people what to do. I can't really think of, I can't even see her sitting still.
She'd be on the neighborhood watch if she lived in.
She would be such a Karen, oh my gosh.
I think that's all we've got. I know you guys are real busy. We've got a full day of convention experience. There's still more panels. There's going to be karaoke. There's going to be the cosplay showcase. So just thank you both so much for your time and for coming out today.
Please check out our social medias. You can follow me at the OG Bulma on Facebook or on Instagram. And then on Facebook, I'm also Tiffany Bulmer. So if you really want to be friends with me, you can send me a message and go, please be my friend. And I'll be like, oh, okay. And tell me where you met me and post any pictures. And please come by, because we leave our families to come visit you guys. And so all these sales are like for us to be able to afford babysitters and like gas to get here and stuff like that. So we really appreciate your support. We love you, Houston. I mean, Houston has the best bands. I'm sorry. Every time I come here, you guys turn it out. Yes.
You're great. You usurped my little give us any plugs thing, but you're really good at anticipating. That was also
She's really good at everything. Yes, thank you for having me. I'm so impressed with your preparation.
Oh, thank you so
You're a
much.
fantastic moderator. And we're just grateful to be here. Yeah, come say hello.
All right, thank you so much. I usually like to end things with a sort of, I can do my little dragon, I know you said not to do impressions, but I can do my little Dragon Ball voice here and say, what fun awaits us for the rest of Dragon Ball Minicon? Find out later, right here.
We're gonna get in front and get down and take a picture. Okay, we're gonna selfie. We're gonna selfie it. It's way more fun.
Next time on GamerGauntlet, like and subscribe.